So everybody stand up at the front of your mat. Come into Tadasana. So get your feet set up about hip width apart. Now your hip width is, you can put two fists together and then put those fists in between your arches. So your hips are not that big. You can, now they're not that narrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, but anyway, put your fists together. I'm serious about this. And come down. Because there are a number of different, not standards, but norms. Like your head is 1/9 of your height. So you have when you put your arms down like this, where the eye of your elbow is, that is typically your navel. And if the eye of your elbow is higher than your navel, like me, my arms are shorter than somebody my height. Just interesting. So anyway, so come to Tadasana. Get your second toe pointed towards the front of the room. From here, stand up tall. Then take your feet and drag them toward each other isometrically. So they don't move, but you can feel all the muscles engaging. Then take your upper inner thighs, roll them towards the back, and then take your pelvis and tilt it under. Tuck your tailbone under. And that tilts your pelvis back. It gives your lumbar arch that nice reverse arch that it needs to function properly. Again, lift your chest high. The crown of your head, which is right over the top of your spine, lift that up. And then take your shoulders up towards your ears. Roll them back. Your shoulder blades should kiss, and then let them just drift down. Your shoulder blades drift down. Tuck your chin in just a little bit. And breathe in and out through your nose. Throughout today's class, your normal everyday breath is all you're really going to require. And then slowly begin to bring weight into your left foot. And then lift your right foot up 1 inch. And balance there. If your toe goes down, that's okay. And then bring that foot out in front of you with a straightish leg. Your arms can be anywhere that will help you stay vertical. You can always move up against the wall if you need. And bring that over to the side. And definitely don't look at anybody who's moving. And then bring that foot back to the front. And then over to the left. And feel your calves here. See how much work they're doing. And if you fall out, that's fine. This is practice. That's why they call it practice. And then bring that foot back, step that out. Bring your weight into your right foot. First, lift your toes up Spread your toes wide and then place them back down so that you can grip the mat. Now bring the weight into that right foot. Lift your left foot up 1 inch. And then bring it forward, bouncing on one foot. And every day is different. If you did this 2 hours ago, it would be different right now. And bring that leg out to the left. And if you're feeling tense, just take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose and out through your nose. And you'll find that your muscles will relax a little bit. Your balance will be easier to keep. And bring that foot back out to the front, and then over to the right. Keeping it up. And then bring that back down. Step that up. Okay, come back to Tadasana. Now we're going to do balance with 2 feet. So keep your right foot where it is. Pick up your left foot and bring your pinky toe of your left foot over, touching the pinky toe of the right foot. So maybe your left foot is a couple of inches in front of, but most of the side of your foot is touching. And then stand up straight. Now, of course, I wanted you to grab the block first. So you may or may not need a block. But from here, begin to bend forward. And maybe you can reach forward, get the block on the mat, maybe not. Notice how stable you are. Can you feel your muscles on each leg? One grabs and then the other does. And that happens completely independent of your brain. That is happening because of your fascia and all the connections it has, and all the nerves. It's part of what is it? Anyway, part of your system that doesn't need any intervention. It's automatic. And then slowly come up. Quickly where they are. Put your arms out into T. You can put your blocks down. And then find a spot on the floor, maybe 10 feet in front of you, that's not moving. And then begin to rotate to the left, bringing your chest to the left. And breathe here. Inhale, come back to center. And then come over to the right. Inhale, come back to center. And then let your hands come down. Step out of that. Rock that out a little bit. Maybe make some circles with your hips or your knees. Come back to Tadasana. This time, after you spread your toes on the left foot and place them down, lift your right foot up, bring it across in front of the left. And then bend forward again. Won't stay that much longer. You can really feel your hamstrings here in a different way. Inhale, come back up. Bring your arms out into T. From here, rotate to the right. Notice if this side is different. And come back to center. Rotate left. Back to center. Lower your arms and step that up. Okay, we have time to go up against the wall. And what we're going to do, oh my God, you're not telling me we're going to do this. You can just stay next to the wall and raise your foot up. But what I'd like you to try to do is face the wall a little bit farther than your arm's length. And then lift up your foot. Now I have a chair rail here that happens to be just about perfect for me. I wish it was about an inch shorter. But anyway, well, what that will do, that will change your sense of balance. And it can be below, it can be on top. Your toes can be gripping the top. But feel what's going on in your hips. Now, lift your spine up, the crown of your head. Lift that up towards the ceiling. And did you discover any relief in your hips? I hope so. And then lower back down. Now the other foot, you already know how far away it should be. And then on an inhale, lift up. Try to square your hips towards the wall. Try tucking your tailbone under, see what that does. You may already be doing that. And then release. One more thing against the wall. And this is kind of I'll use touchy-feely. But if you get your feet right up against the wall, then step forward 1 foot length. So your heels are about where your toes were. So you're out from the wall the length of your foot. So both feet should come out. Bring your feet about hip width apart. Back into Tadasana. And then from here, we'll do a little hatha. Inhale your arms up overhead. And then swan dive over. Coming into a forward fold. And as you come down, your glutes might come into contact with the wall, which is okay. I'd like you to lean into the wall so that you have no fear of falling forward. And from here, you can either just let your arms dangle, you have a micro bend in your knees, you can grab opposite elbows, and breathe. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your hands to your thighs and slowly push your chest up. Don't want anybody to get lightheaded. And when you feel comfortable, walk back over to your mat. We'll come into child's pose. So get down onto your mat. In recent months, I've fallen in love with super wide child's pose. So I put a towel way out to the side. Bring your big toes together. Maybe you can come down onto your heels with your bum. And then walk your hands forward, drawing your chest forward. This is a spine lengthener. And come on down. If your head comes down to the floor, that's great. If you're on a towel or a block, that's good too. Take a deep cleansing breath into your nose. And exhale it out through your nose. Take another cleansing breath into your nose, out through your nose, and let your breath come to its own natural rhythm, in and out through your nose. If your elbows are not resting on the mat, make an adjustment. You don't have to be reaching so far forward that your arms are still up in the air. Yin is a class where you let gravity do all the work. And if you're holding yourself up, then find a way to use a block, modify your position so that gravity does all the work. Your job is to figure out how to soften your muscles that are being stretched. When those muscles do soften, and after about a minute they start to, then the tension from the pose gets transferred from your muscles into your fascia, your connective tissues, stimulating them to grow just a little bit more. As each one of us has aged, our fascia has shrunk more than any other body part. And that constricts how much your muscles can move. That may be why you can't touch your toes. Maybe why you don't have full range of motion that you used to. But a practice like Yin or Tai Chi is a way to turn back time. In Yin Yoga, the dimension of time, or the dimension of change is time. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back towards your chest. Push your chest up. Rise up into table position. And do a few cat-cows. Cat-cow is a way to bring synovial fluid to your hip and shoulder sockets, to your knees and your elbows and your spine, giving more lubrication, making movement easier. And the next time you come to center, pause. We're going to do a pose called Spinal Balance. And it's more of a Yang pose than a Yin pose, but it has its purposes. So from here, lift your right leg up and back. Dip your footprint on that back wall. Try to keep that foot up about your hip height. And then take your left arm, reach out and karate chop the floor far in front of you. And then draw that arm right back into the shoulder. So maybe your fingers come back 2 or 3 inches. And then lift that left hand up parallel to the floor, as if you were going to shake Bob Dole's hand, although Bob Dole just recently passed. But from here, you can gaze down at the mat to the left of your right hand and feel your core working. Spinal balance is one of the best core builders there is. And then on an exhale, draw your left elbow to your right knee in a crunch. Inhale, extend out. We'll do another 2 or 3. And you can take a break. One more. And pause here in spinal balance. And now we have my favorite pose of all, awkward airplane. From here, bring your left arm out to the left, your right leg out to the right. And you understand the name. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, out to the side. Inhale back to center, only one more. Exhale back out to the side. And from here, drop your right foot down, and then your left hand, but your right leg is out to the side. Then walk your hands back and come up, standing on that left knee. I should have mentioned if you have a knee issue, you can always use a towel, make a nest. But from here, this is gate pose. So for gate pose, lift that left arm up into the air. Right hand is on your right leg. And then on an exhale, slowly bend over towards the right. Now you want to make sure that you are not coming forward. That would be a twist. This is a side bend. You should be feeling this from your left ear down to your right left shoulder. That's your trapezius muscles. Now, if this arm overhead is being counterproductive because of shoulder issues, you can even take that arm, bend it, bring it around behind your back. Maybe that will free you up so that you can look up. Maybe not. You should be feeling this quite a bit in your right groin. And breathe in and out through your nose. Then on your next inhale, rise all the way back up. Bring your hands to the mat. Onto your hands and knees. Cat cow, really enjoy this. Really appreciate your hips. Make sure that as you go into cow, when your belly drops, your chest comes forward, your sit bones lift and separate. That will work on your sacrum, make it feel really good. And the next time you come to center, pause. The next pose is going to be Dragonfly. So come down onto your favorite hip and swing your feet around to the front of the mat. Now, Dragonfly is a straddle pose. So you bring your legs out wide, but not so wide that, not to the maximum, only maybe 70%. I'm going to give you a number of options here. One is that you can be up on a block. They'll get your hips up. That will give your legs a little bit more space, your hips that is. I'm going to do that at this point. But if you're on a block, make sure that your sit bones are right on the very front of it. Front of the block. Then, another option is you can bend that left knee. You don't have to, you can leave that leg out. From here, lift the crown of your head up, twist towards your right leg. Inhale one more time, and then exhale. Walk your hands on either side of that right leg, drawing your collarbones towards your right toes. And when your body suggests that you pause, pause. Notice how your left leg is doing. Now you can use another block underneath that right knee or underneath your thigh. The object here is to allow those muscles to soften. And this is an asymmetric pose, so you get a little bit more juice out of this pose. It's a little more strenuous, which means that you get a little bit more tension in this part of your body. Breathe into wherever those sensations are greatest. And know that your edge in Yin Yoga is similar as to that in Hatha, in that you can always change. If the pose becomes a little too easy, or if you're a little bit too comfortable and your muscles are really soft, you can increase the tension. But the converse is true too. If it's just too much, back up. Because if your muscles never get an opportunity to relax and soften, your fascia will never find the tension that it needs to stimulate new growth. Your fascia is much stronger than your muscles. It's made out of collagen, which is the same material that makes your bones. Begin to deepen your breath. And your next inhale, rise back up. Leave your right arm out on your right leg, and then just turn your chest about 90 degrees towards your other foot. From here, lift the crown of your head up, and then side bend to the right again. Similar to what we were doing in gate pose. That left hand can be overhead or down to behind your back. If you put it behind your back, you're sort of restraining yourself from a potential twist. You'll get a twist soon enough. You can always use that right elbow against the knee to help pry that chest and shoulder back. Maybe now you can feel your psoas really kicking in. Or maybe that's your iliacus, your other hip flexor. And soften here. Close your eyes and turn inside. See if you can place yourself somewhere where there's a lot of excitement in your muscles, where the sensations are really strong. Or maybe right where they're beginning to change from being engaged to softening. That's where the action is. Notice how you are able to stimulate your body to relax, even while stretching. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, rise up. With one hand on each leg, help your legs come back to center. If you're on a block, carefully remove it. Bring your hands behind your hips, and then bring your footprints onto the mat. And before you start to windshield wiper your knees, notice what your hips are saying to you. And then slowly go one direction, and then the other. You may find a huge difference. And try to figure out why. And the next time you come to center, pause. Sit all the way up. You may need a block or a towel for this next pose. We're going to do double swan. So for those of you who do not know what double swan is, you can bring your ankles, or bring your left ankle roughly parallel to the front of the mat, and then bring your right ankle roughly on top of it so that they're parallel, but your right leg is higher. Now, if you're really stiff and there's no chance of stacking, that's okay. You can always leave the right leg out or bent a little bit, but somehow see if you can bring that the right heel on top of the left knee or thigh. And you may find that you need a block underneath the left knee and another one underneath the right knee. That's okay. And if your hips are screaming, that's understandable. Try using a block this way, underneath your right knee. Right? This way. Right here. So from here, just relax. Notice your hip sockets. This pose targets your glutes and your hip sockets. So you can probably feel your hip sockets. You may not be able to feel your glutes, but you can modify this if you're brave. You don't have to be brave. But maybe just begin to walk your hands forward. And you'll probably surprise yourself. As you come forward, your right knee comes down, and you might not need that block or the towel underneath the right knee at some point. And if it hurts, back up. Don't do it. And notice what's happening in your hips. Notice what's happening in your glutes. This is a right-handed double swan, meaning that your right leg is on top. So most of the sensation is coming into your right glute. So from here, maybe you reach around with your right hand and feel your glutes. Just the action of touching your muscles will give your muscles permission to soften. Now you can do some other modifications here. If you'd like to change this a little bit, maybe walk your hands off to the left and see what happens to your hips. In my body, I can feel my gluteus medius, the middle glute, which strangely is on the outside of your hip. And if you were to walk your hands to the right, you'll feel this more on your gluteus maximus, which is the glute that comes high up on your pelvis, closest to your spine. Begin to deepen your breath. Slowly walk your hands back. When you're sitting upright, maybe use both hands to help your legs back towards the front of the mat. Bring your hands behind your hips. Push your heels away. Have your feet about hip width apart. And then maybe just rotate your feet. That turns your femurs and your hip sockets, creating a really nice sensation for you. And if you'd like to bend your knees and try another windshield wiper, that's perfectly acceptable too. And the next time you come to center, pause. Come down onto your elbows. All the way down onto your back. Stretch your heels to the front of the room. Bring your arms up towards the ceiling. And then let them float down towards the mat, beyond your head. And stretch from your palms to your heels. Feel the engagement with the mat. And then your toenails to your fingernails. Spread your toes wide, fingers wide. Maybe wiggle them. And then walk your feet up towards your sit bones. Bring your arms out into T. We're coming into a spinal twist, not that funky spinal balance. From here, you have a couple of options. One is called twisted roots, and most men have a really challenging time doing it. So you may not even want to try, but you women may step your foot up onto the ceiling, right foot up onto the ceiling, and bring your right thigh over the top of your left thigh, like a girl sitting. And maybe you can hook your right foot behind your left ankle into eagle legs, which is known as twisted roots. From here, bring your knees off to the left, down towards the mat, and you probably won't get there, which is okay. Your head might need a little more space, so you might want to just move your head a little bit to the right. Maybe your gaze is off towards your right fingertips, if that's not too much for your neck. And ease into this pose. Soften your glutes. If your glutes hang up and they won't soften, again, you can take that right hand and just let your fingers pass over. And they will release. Soften your lower belly. Now, a modification for your shoulders might be something that you're looking for. So from here, maybe push your right fingernails farther out to the side. And then very slowly begin to make a snow angel on the floor by rotating that arm up towards the far wall. And feel how that armpit is getting stretched. You can come all the way over so that your right arm meets the left. Certainly your shoulders come up. That's okay. And then, when you're ready, back the other way. And if there's a spot that is challenging, linger there. And notice going back might be different. Maybe it's because your fingers were down the first time and now your nails are down. Feel the stretch across your chest, all the way down to your pelvis. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your knees back to center. Unbind your legs. Maybe push your heels up to the front of the mat. Again, roll your feet one more time, making circles on the ceiling with your toes. And then draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Maybe make some circles with your knees on the ceiling now. Make sure you go the opposite direction because those use different muscles. And the next time you come to center, pause. From here, just cross your ankles and rock forwards and backwards, coming all the way up into seated. Then come on to a hip. Come back over into table. Do a couple of cat cows here. And the next time you come to center, pause. Now we're back to spinal balance. Lift your left foot up and back. Push that heel away, stretching your hamstring. And then take your right arm out, karate chop the mat, and then draw that shoulder or that arm into the shoulder socket. Lift that hand up. And notice how different this side is. Follow your breathing. And then on your next exhale, crunch your elbow to your knee. And inhale, extend back out. Elbow to knee. Extend back out. Crunch. Last one. Pause here. And then an awkward airplane. Right hand out to the right, left foot out to the left. Back to center. Exhale out. Back to center. Exhale out. Lower that left foot. Lower the right hand. And walk your hands back. And rise up onto that right knee. You could really feel that hip flexor on the right side. So with your left hand down on that left knee, raise that right arm up. Reach for the ceiling. On an exhale, slowly side bend to the left. Use your breath here by breathing into your ribs. Maybe you want to start up by your armpit, and then a couple of ribs below, and then come down, creating a little bit more space as those tiny little intercostal muscles that hold your ribs together get stretched apart. Whenever you do diaphragmatic breathing, they are instrumental in giving you more lung capacity. Remember, you can always change your arm position to behind your back. Notice how your body is calming. Meditation is being a passive observer of your body. Use your breath for that. And then on your next inhale, rise all the way back up. Bring your arms back down onto the mat with your hands. Bring your knee back. Do a couple more cat-cows. And notice how different these cat-cows are than after the first one. The next time you come to center, pause. Find whichever hip you wish. Sit down and bring your legs around in front, coming into Dragonfly on the left side. Now you do not have to do this the same as you did on the first side. This is your practice, and only you know what's going on inside your body. So from here, inhale your spine tall, crown of your head up, chin tucked. Inhale and then twist towards your left leg. And then exhale, out your hands on either side of that left leg. And on this side, you may want to bend that right knee. You're still getting the benefit. It's just a little bit different. This is a groin stretch. It's a hamstring stretch and a twist. Allow your eyes to close and turn inside. Allow your spine to round, creating more space in between each vertebra for your discs. Hatha would have you maintain a straight spine the entire time, along with all your muscles engaged. But that's Hatha. And you want to experiment, maybe flex your foot a little bit more, bringing your toes back towards your head a little bit more, or maybe just let the toes fall forward and see what that does. It could be really meaningful. But learn from it. Try to understand what is happening to your body. And your next inhale, come up. Move that left arm on the left leg. The crown of your head up. Turn to the right. And then on an exhale, side bend to the left. Your arm can be up in the air, it can be behind your back. Maybe use that elbow against your knee so that you can lean back, fall back a little bit more. Feel the tension in your trapezius, the muscle that ties your shoulders to your skull. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, come back up to center. Help your legs come back to center. Bring your hands behind your hips. Make your observations and then reach your warrior. Experiment where you put your feet. You don't always have to be in the same place. Your feet can be wide one time, together the next. You make the rules. The next time you come to center, pause. Sit up straight. We have double swan again. And this is where I think many of you are very happy that you're not spiders with 8 legs. So you start this time with your right shin down, below, and then your left shin is, your left leg is on top. And you can be in a butterfly position if your legs are such that makes more sense for you. But anything in between works. And if you have a real bony foot or ankle, I feel for you. I know all about it. Once you come into your version of the pose, just pause there. Rest your hands, lift the crown of your head up, close your eyes, and be a witness. Make the observations as if you were going to be called into court and you had to describe what was going on in your glutes and in your hip sockets during this pose. And then if and when you're ready, maybe you'd like to walk your hands forward a bit. You can take the blocks out or leave them in. It's completely up to you. You may be able to come all the way down onto your chest. That may be another lifetime. But find a place that you can just relax. Let those hip sockets just be themselves. Breathe into them. That will direct more oxygen, more blood, more nutrients. Soften your glutes. Those are the targets. And don't forget to modify this if you want. You can walk your hands left or right. And once you find a modification that's good for you, if the instructor doesn't offer it, you can still do it on your own. Doesn't matter if you're in a hatha class, or yin class, or vinyasa class. If you have time to do it your way, do it. It's always your practice. Take responsibility for it. Begin to deepen your breath. On an inhale, walk your hands back to center. And then lifting your chest high. Use your arms to help your Legs come back out in front. Push your heels away, hands behind your hips. Wave your feet. And then come down onto your elbows, all the way down onto your back. Raising your arms up towards the ceiling, and then reach towards the far wall and stretch your fingernails away from your toenails. And then your palms away from your heels. Bring your arms out into T. Walk your footprints up towards your sit bones. Take your left foot up, step on the ceiling. And then bring that left thigh over the top of the right. Coming into twisted roots or eagle legs, if that works for you. And then, when you're ready, drop your knees off to the right, knees off to the left. Soften your belly here. Soften your glutes, especially if you're in twisted glutes. Feel the stretch from your left shoulder down to your pecs, where they're connected to your rib cage. You may feel your serratus muscles, which are attached to the center front of your ribs. They go around and attach to the bottom of your scapula, the shoulder blades. Soften your lower belly. If you'd like to stretch your left shoulder a little more, you can make those snow angels or not. It's up to you. Yeah. You can take the left arm all the way over to the right. Leave the right arm down. You took that right arm over. I think that would become almost an impossible stretch. Begin to deepen your breath. On an inhale, bring your knees back to center. Untangle your legs and notice the temperature of your feet. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. And rock from left to right. Push your hips away, engaging your sacrum and your small of your back into the mat. Make sure you have a block within reach. And set your feet down next to your sit bones. Bring your hands next to your hips. On an inhale, tuck your tailbone under. And then lift your hips up towards the ceiling into a bridge. And take a couple of breaths here. Maybe draw your heels towards your shoulders. Push your knees towards the far wall. Feel that nice stretch on your quads. And then slowly lower back down. This time, find the block. And there's no great reason to find the perfect height the first time. But from here, tuck your tailbone under again, lift up, and place the block underneath your sacrum, the highest where you feel comfortable. Set your sacrum back down on top. And move your hips a little bit, left to right, front to back. Ensure that you're stable. All your weight comes down on top of that block. And if you feel stable, you can walk your feet out to the front. You can walk your feet forward, keeping your footprints on the mat if you wish. Or you can come onto your heels. Feel that stretch across the top of your thighs. Those are your hip flexors. Now, if you'd like to change the height, go ahead. Really intense. And if you'd like to extend a little bit more, raise your arms up overhead, and then let them come down onto the mat beyond your hip. Bending your elbows, make sure that you're supported. Just relax. Soften your lower belly. Soften your thighs, your quads. Unfortunately, on supported bridge, you can overdo it. So on your next inhale, return your arms back down by your sides. And when you're ready, walk your footprints back up towards your sit bones. And again, when you're ready, push the floor away, lifting up your hips. Remove the block. Come back down. And then draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. And again, rock from left to right. Or make some circles. I know I never know what my body wants until I do it. So always be adventuresome. Try different things. And the next time you come to center, pause. Release one leg out to the front corner of your mat. And then release the other leg out to the front corner. Your arms can be by your side, so they can be out to the side. If you would want to draw your shoulder blades underneath your chest a little bit more, that's fine too. Lift your head 1 inch. Stretch your neck out really long. Tuck your chin and gently lower back down. It'll give your neck a little tiny bit of traction. And then take a deep cleanse of breath in through your nose and out through your nose. And then another in through your nose, out through your nose. And take rest. This Shavasana is the time when your body and your mind begin to come back together. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your space. Bring movement to your fingers and to your toes, to your wrists, and to your ankles. Gently roll your head from left to right. And when you're ready, walk your footprints up towards your sit bones, drawing the knees into your chest, and giving yourself a squeeze, and rock one last time, or make circles. And then the next time you come over towards the right side, pause there in fetal pose for just a moment and do a body scan to determine if you have any tension or stresses still residing in your body that you would like to rid yourself of. Make a note of that for later in the week. And then using the strength in your left hand, push the floor away. Rise up to a seated position. Thank you for sharing your yoga practice with me this afternoon. I say this too often, but each of you inspires me to teach. Taking care of your own body's health and your brain's health through the practice of yoga is so important. Take the compassion and empathy that you practice every time you step on your mat. Take that with you everywhere you go and share it with your family, your friends, and each person you might meet. Namaste. My name is Clint, and this has been Yin Yoga. Thanks for coming.